Hello everyone, and welcome to this new webinar about Claap MCP. My name is Pierre, I'm one of the founders at Claap, and I'm with my co-founder Robin, if he's here. Are you okay, Robin?
Hey guys, just struggling with the cam.
So we are just going to wait 1 minute because we have like many people joining today. As you are already know, if you have any question, really feel free to ask directly in the chat. Hi Samuel, hi Sabine, hi Pierre.
Hey everyone. Nice, the chat is already active. So I will manage the chat today. So if you have any question, I will spot the question and we'll raise a hand to stop the presentation and the discussion.
Okay, and I think we can start. So hi everyone. So as you know, the goal of the webinar is really to present you Claap MCP. As we know, we launched our MCP almost like 2 months ago. Some of you have already been experimenting with that, and we'll have actually someone in the audience that will join us to present his use case. So the goal today is, I think, like a few things that are interesting. So the first one is really about introducing you like MCP in general. Some of you might already be familiar a lot with this protocol, some of you not. So the idea is really to kind of introduce you about the concept and also why it's different like from API, webhooks, and so on. Two, we are going to basically show you some really concrete use cases about the things that you can do with Claap. And the last part, we also show you how you can set up your MCP in Claude, N8N, and so on. Maybe one disclaimer, this topic is really, really new. So we are also experimenting at the same time than you guys. So if you have like questions, feedback, maybe some technical issues that you had in the past, really feel free to share your question because yeah, this is a new topic. We are like really working a lot in this direction. So we really feel free to share any feedback. So maybe let's start with the most important stuff, which is about why MCP is now super important. I think like you are like probably aware, but the main stuff that changed in the past 2 years is really the rise of AI agents. What it means concretely is that before, when you had a SaaS software, you were like building for humans first, and basically all the interface in the SaaS software was for human people to interact with it. What is changing now is basically SaaS needs to be accessible not only by human but also by AI agents, that we need to basically access all the tools within this SaaS software. So this is precisely the reason why MCP exists. So MCP is basically a new way for LLM and AI agents to interact with app. For the record, it was something that was introduced end of 2024 by Anthropic. And they basically define MCP, so it stands for Model Context Protocol, as an open universal standard. So it's kind of a USB-C port for AI. And the idea is really to facilitate the connection and the interactions between LLM and the AI agents. I know that I already spoke with some of you, and this is a question I often have, which is about, okay, what is the difference between MCP, API, webhooks? In the past, we used to have like API to build like connections between apps. So I wanted to basically share a quick recap about what is basically like the main difference between the three. There are like some technical subtleties, so really feel free if you have like a question. But just to summarize the goal of an MCP, so the first one, the best benefits that it's easy for AI agents to understand what Claap can do. So what it means that when you use an MCP, Claude, for example, will directly access some specific tools directly within Clap and will be able to interact with it. With an API, typically, this is something that you need to code, so you cannot really speak with natural language the same way you do it, for example, in LLM. The second big benefit is also about having ongoing back and forth conversations. You are already familiar with ChatGPT and Claude, and you know that if you want to basically refine your output, you are going to have like a conversation with the LLM. So the way the MCP is going to work is that it's going to basically do a list of action directly in Clap to retrieve information, to organize this information, but also to proceed on specific action. The main difference is that if you run with API, you need to have really one call each time. So it's much more complex to basically implement. Control, so who can do what? So it's basically who can get access to the MCP and so on. Real-time context during meetings. So the idea is that it's going to be like much faster to basically retrieve information, typically from meetings, using natural language. Works across many platforms. I think one big benefit of the MCP is that you don't need to be a developer to use it. So for example, on my side, I'm not a developer, so I wouldn't know how to use, for example, an API, but it's very easy for me to plug MCP to different systems and really to interact with it.
Maybe just here to give an example about what it looks like if we want to build an AI agent with and without MCP. If you have an MCP for a tool like Clap, for instance, the MCP is going to list all the actions. It's a repository of all the actions that the AI agent can leverage with the Clap product. And it defines a command structure. So the AI agent kind of understand in a super easy way how to interact with the Clap platform. This is what Pierre said earlier about the SaaS. Now we need an agentic experience because the AI agent doesn't really click on the interface as we do. And so the MCP is helping a lot. If you don't have the MCP, what you're going to have is a lot of API endpoints. So for every single action, you will need the agent will need to go and ping the relevant endpoint of the API, but each coming with specific parameters, formatting, and so on. And so you need a lot of prompt engineering to really explain what you want to do. And to take an example that everyone will know, which is Google Calendar, you will have an action to list events, an action to create an event, an action to update an event, an action to get a specific event with all the details. And so it's really cumbersome if you want your AI agent to go and deal with all these specific actions. The benefit with like an MCP in this example would be Google Calendar MCP is that there is this MCP, this repository of action contained in the MCP that kind of normalized all the parameters and makes it super easy for the agent to tap into the different actions they need. And so it's way less verbose because a lot of intelligence is contained in the MCP repository, and you need way less either manual coding or prompt engineering to really ensure that it works. And yeah, just a very small and minor example, but if you want to get today's meetings using Google Calendar MPI with your AI agent, maybe you're gonna need to say, okay, but today I need the timestamp to be in milliseconds and blah, blah, blah. And so this is how every single parameter can be like put you in trouble and the AI agent in trouble. So the MCP makes it super robust to wrap all this with the common logic and language.
Cool. Any question on this slide? I know it's a bit some stuff might be a bit technical, but really feel free if you have any question. So all of that to say that we launched recently our MCP. So we launched the beta version in July. Some of you have been experimenting with it. And why Clap MCP is really useful. It's because it's going to be a native bridge between AI agents and all your meeting knowledge. So concretely, how does it look like? I think the best is really to show you with 3 concrete examples. So we have one which is how to use Clap MCP, for example, to code interactive dashboard in Claude. We have one about how to basically build autonomous agent, so typically using N8N, Zapier, and so on. And then we have also one cool use case about creating automatically content from Clap to Notion. So let's start with the first one, which is Claap MCP for vibe coding. So the idea here is to create an interactive objection dashboard based on conversation data. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to, can you confirm you can see my,
Yeah, but you need to put in Spotlight. Yeah.
Can you see this one? Maybe just a quick intro for people that want to know exactly how the MCP looks like, for example, in Claude. When you have Claap MCP connected, it means that you can retrieve data in Claap directly from Claude. About the tools that Robin mentioned, it means that the MCP will be able to do a few actions like search specific companies, search specific contacts in Claap, also search specific deals, and also basically summarize and access some specific meeting information. For the record, I know some of you...
Maybe, Pierre, there is a question to really set it up. If you can, and we can probably do it now, and I will showcase how to implement it in N8N just after if you want.
Yeah, I have a slide at the end to explain to you how to set up the MCP for the different platform. So don't worry, I will cover this part in the end. And I think it was Carmen. How do I get Claude MCP to retrieve information only from specific channels? So let me show you. I think the best is to show you with the example I have in mind. I have my prompt. So
you should be able to say search for, because we have a search tool with the MCP. So you should be able to mention, you see in the prompt, for instance, here we say using Clap tool. So that's Claude or whatever the LLM you use or no-code platform you use. You just need to mention that you want to use Clap tool. Then this is something specific about how we implemented it, because we have big clients with a lot of different workspaces for different BUs, business units. So you really need to mention the Clap workspace where you want to get information. And so for instance, here we say Clap workspace. For us, of course, we are Clap. So it's Clap. For you, it's going to be the name of your own workspace. If you don't mention it, it might cause a bit of problems. What we'll probably do is to change this so that if you only have one workspace, you don't have to mention it, which would be more logical. And this is an area of improvement. And then you can say channel, as you can see below. And for us, we store all our client meetings within the sales meetings channel. And so if you make it like super clear like this, it's going to be inputting directly these filters within the relevant tool.
So this is the prompt. Then I'm going to go on enter.
So yeah, Claap MCP, just sorry, interrupting a bit because there are some questions. I'm a business user. Do I get Claap MCP? Yes. You can. You have access to Claap MCP, and you have two ways to authenticate. One is to authenticate through OAuth. When you are in Claude, for instance, you just like go in Claap MCP in MCPs, and you can you fill the Claap MCP URL. We'll explain it in the slide later, and then you have OAuth. Another option is to use API key, and then you need to create an API key. And so then it allows you to connect with the Claap MCP with the API key. On this, just a remark, the API is still in beta access. So if you want to access an API key, we'll need to open it on your workspace. So ping us in advance. Another question is, can you connect Claap with Perplexity? Perplexity, you have MCP. So to be honest, we didn't test it, but I will test it right after, and there should be no issue with this. I think it's a standard wrapper, but I take the action and we'll follow up. To what extent have you faced limitations on the LLM's autonomy to go through the Claap platform? It's working pretty well. It's a bit verbose, but so to answer you, Gaspar, that depends a bit. We don't have too many issues. What I can mention is that it's better to use it with more advanced models. For instance, we've been trying to set up AI agents in N8N using Gemini Flash. So, like it's the small model that is super fast about Gemini. And it was not super conclusive. However, when using Gemini Pro, it was way better. And I would say it's pretty much the same within Claude, OpenAI, and so on. And so, yes, you have access mail to MCP. Again, we'll present a slide right after the use cases so that you understand how you can set it up. And if you want, we're going to be able also on top of the slide to share the screen to show precisely in the interfaces how you can connect it. Yeah, Pierre, there is a question about the prompt structure. So maybe we can review it for the dashboard
Yes.
and go through it step by step.
Yes, so the prompt structure, I think first give a clear role to what you want to do. I think in general, what I really recommend is to be really, really precise about what you want to build and also the sources that you want to use. So typically it can be the workspace. In general, what I use a lot is about the channel source. So it's about the specific deal, company, and so on. So in general, this is really the place where you indicate the source. And then you are going to basically give instruction. So in that case, what I want to do is an objection dashboard, interactive objection dashboard. I want to have 3 different sections. So the first section is really about the top 3 objections that we faced last week. The second one is more about objection count per category. And then I want to have a section with the real quotes from clients. And as you can see, the way it has worked is that the Claude has fetched all the data within Clap.
Sorry, just about the prompt, Pierre. One remark: whenever we want to use it internally, what we recommend and what we do is we go through first, in advance, a pre-prompt construction. So, for instance, it would be asking to Claude, I want to use Claap MCP to create an interactive dashboard. Can you help me prompt an advanced prompt? Can you help me create an advanced prompt to create this? And to be honest, this is exactly how I created this prompt initially. Yeah, nothing better than an LLM knows what should be the input for an LLM. So this intermediate step is really relevant for you.
Maybe also one side note, Gaspar, about this prompt, I highlighted the do not event objection. That's something that is always good to add in your prompt. And as you can see, for the rest, it's going to basically fetch data directly within Claude, to automatically create this objection dashboard. I saw a question from you, Carmen, which is about, okay, what's the difference between Claude, being in Claude, and being in Clap AI? For more advanced use cases, okay, in that case, I want to code something which is very interactive. That's one feature that we don't have in Clap AI that you can do in Claude. Or you'll see also, for example, if you want to create directly documents in Notion, what you can do is that you can fetch data from Clap to perform some specific action directly within your Notion, within your HubSpot, and so on.
But it's something that gonna, if we talk about MCPs, as Clap, we are provider of data through our MCP, and this is aligned with our vision, with all what we did, webhooks, API, smart tables, and so on. We want you guys to be able to make the most of all your client and meeting interactions and send it in other tools to get insights and take action. However, the MCP can also go the other way around. And so something that we have in the roadmap is to connect Clap AI with other MCPs so that from Clap AI, you could have third-party actions directly. And Clap AI presents basically the same tools as Clap MCP. So you can use directly from Claude or tomorrow ChatGPT or use Claap AI. The results might be a bit different, probably a bit more, since we are in a fully managed environment, I would say that Claap AI is more relevant and more robust if it's just like for question and answers. But yeah, it's more or less the same tools behind the scenes. There was a question also from Hugo, because we have a lot of questions. So just covering a bit the question, does it auto-actualize or we have to reuse the prompt every time we need this dashboard? So to be clear about what this is just a way the MCP here behind the scenes queries Claap data, structures to bring like an answer, and uses Claude artifact to create an app. But there is no backend whatsoever. There is no like live. It's not something that that is connected live. So what here with this precise example, what happens is that it won't be updated automatically. It's just a discussion, and then you can reuse the same conversation and ask to update it the week after or create a new one. However, if you want something to be automatically updated, you can use it won't happen in Claude, ChatGPT, and other LLMs chats. It will more happen in no-code platforms or even like fully hard-coded platforms. But in an A10, for instance, you could have every week something that updates such a platform. So it will be a different tool, but Claap MCP is definitely, it's just a way to correct the data. So either it's one shot or recurring, but it works for both.
Okay. And I think it's probably a good transition to the second use case, which is like this first use case is more for ad hoc report that you want to code, but it's not like fully automated. So another use case for Claap.
Just sorry, Pierre, because we still had one question about the objections. The objection defined in Claap or by Claude when reading transcript, it's a very good question. It's the case about Claap AI, and so then the tools that we exposed in Claap MCP. What we do is not just bringing all the transcripts and like bringing them to Claude in this case. We really have a RAG that we use internally. We took like 18 months to develop it. So a RAG, it just like means for retrieval. And so we want to retrieve the data and we pre-label it depending on the question and use case. We made it like pretty advanced for a lot of sales use case, such as objections, but can also be like pricing questions, can also be competitive intelligence and stuff like this. So to answer your question, Gaspar, no, it's not coming from Claude. Here, if you wanted to really rely on Claude, you would have terrible results. You would have some objections, but it would not be like fully consistent and comprehensive. It might track, one or two objections, but it would miss a lot. So what we do is really we pre-label all the transcript so that you are sure you have 100% of the business signals that are of interest for you. And Carmen, the question we asked, we answered it already. So this prompt is about a one-time ask. If you want to set it up to automatically, you can either like write again in the same chat. You can also use the task. I'm not super familiar on Claude on this, but for ChatGPT, as soon as we release the MCP, you have the ChatGPT task. And so it might work with some degree of automation. And then if you really want something more robust, I will encourage you to use an A10 or so. And we can show more about this later. For the accuracy of the dashboard, it's true. And so that's why usually when we work on such reports and analysis, what we try to do is we really ask about backing quotes so that we can really see the quotes and identify the source. But this is precisely an example where Claap AI is really good, because in Claap AI, all this is native. For those of you who might have tested it already, when you ask a question, you will see that we isolate the chunk, meaning the subset of the transcript where the info is coming from, and you have a kind of a mark, and if you hover it, you can see the quote, and if you click on it, you can land exactly on the right position within the recording. So it makes it super relevant and easy to like go through all the data, I would say, and ensure that everything is true. The system that we used is more or less related to what you have in Google Notebook LM, if you tested it already. Can I also add the MCP to ChatGPT? It's a good question. To be honest, it's 1 day of work now that we have the MCP working. The reason why we didn't do it is because ChatGPT is super deceptive. They added a wrapper on top of MCP. It's not the standard MCP implementation. And so they limit somehow the tools that you can use. And so for now, we decided that it was a bit too disappointing in terms of result and output. This is also something that we personally observed, for instance, with tools like HubSpot MCP, way better in Claude than in ChatGPT. If you really want to test in ChatGPT, even if it might be a bit disappointing, we can prioritize it and open it to you. But it just comes with a disclaimer that OpenAI didn't do a really great job here for now. However, in the API, ChatGPT API, you have access to the normal raw MCP protocol. And so I think that if it's available in the API, it will soon be available in the interface. And so that's also the reason why we wait, because we believe that in a couple of weeks, we will have the same support for MCP in ChatGPT as you have in Claude. So yeah, just let me know. You can ping us if you want an access, and we'll work on it. But otherwise, we'll wait for the better implementation on OpenAI side. So many questions. Sorry, Pierre, because it's a break. So what will be the USP in the future when we will have connected Claap to our many external tools? Yeah, I think it's a really good question. And our vision, like, I mean, for the last 18 months, Claap, what we try to achieve is not to be an assistant, like a note taker and meeting assistant as the others, because we believe that it can be part of our success if you never come in Claap. My point is we want to be the interface that record all your meetings and interactions, whether it's meeting calls or emails in the CRM, and make it available so that you can easily extract insights. But it's not only about recording, because it's like, as we said, if we don't work on a RAG and all the data infrastructure to really structure this vast amount of data, you can put whatever you want in Claude, it won't be super relevant. You will miss a lot of things, it won't be comprehensive and so on. And so our mission, as we see it, is really to become the context provider for tomorrow's AI agent out there by providing an AI agent or an agentic experience. Like I would say, 10 years ago, everyone was talking about user experience for the user, improving the average level of websites for humans. Then we talked about API and SDKs for developers. And now we talk about agentic experience for AI agents. And so this is really what we do. And we don't believe it makes us, optional, because you really need this context surfacing, structuration, and export and to feed your AI agents. Without Claap, you will be maybe able to record on your own all the meetings, but you will be crowded with like tons of transcripts and a big mess within it. So that's part of our vision. Get a sleek interface and UX if you want to go in the product and enjoy the SaaS. Otherwise, get access to all the contextual data if you want to feed your AI agent out there. I don't know, Pierre, if you want to elaborate a bit.
On which one? No, on the vision. No, François, the vision right now is really to say that we become the context providers for AI agents to work. AI agents, some of them might be in Claap because you want to build like native automations in Claap. Some other will be directly in other tool, with like the big benefit of some other tool will help you completely automate some workflows, with like the same focus on being centered around sales conversations. Because as Robin said, our RAG is really designed to structure sales conversations. We discover when you build a RAG, which is, for example, for written documentation, it's a really different way to do it. So our vision is to be the context for provider for AI agents to work.
Yeah, and I saw your message about the filtering when you mention a channel which doesn't work. I'm a bit surprised because usually it works pretty well. We'll double check, and maybe I'll try to reach out to really understand.
Yeah.
Because this is not something we really observed.
Yeah, Carmen, Tyler, I will follow up after the call, but if you can share with me the link of the conversations, we can easily take a look at it. I see that we have like
Jacob, just to answer, where you select that in the MCP, you can't. The source, it's really like text driven, and you mention it. Usually it works, but maybe we need to explore your use case. Within Claap AI, when you are at the top of Claap AI, yeah, Pierre is showing it, but you are not showing your screen. So
no, I'm not showing my screen.
oh yeah, you are. Oh yeah, you are. I think so. No, put
And
your spotlight. This is it.
okay.
So here is Claap AI, guys, and as you can see, all sources. And here you can decide what you want to check. So it can be a channel, it can be a deal, it can be a company, it can be a single recording, and it's really a way to precisely target where you want to discuss with. What you can also do is within the chat, and you can type @ and it will help finding the relevant element.
So you need to tap @ in the, okay.
It's gonna work better because it's really a way to really target that it's a channel and pointing to the relevant. If you don't do it, it will work, but it will be less efficient.
Okay, I wasn't even aware of that. Thanks. So let's move to the second use case, because we had a lot of questions about how to fully automate some agents. So this part is something that you need to build in the system like N8N and Zapier. Robin, can I let you show the different experiments that you made on the N8N?
Yeah, just answering to Jacob, the @ mentioned in Claude doesn't work for sure. With Claude, it will just be the mentioning by text. I didn't really see big issues on the targeting with my tests. If you have some issues and you feel the targeting doesn't work well, I'm super happy if you can share your Claude conversation. As we said, when we opened the MCP at the beginning of the summer and even in June in beta, we were one of the first to release it. And so it's still something where the industry is learning. So super happy to get more feedback from you guys, and every single feedback will help improve the product. Now, when it comes to the N8N, some explorations that we did internally, we can provide afterwards some templates, community templates, if you want to get started. But for instance, one of them was to connect with WhatsApp, so that you can create an agent. You have WhatsApp, and you'll be able to ask questions to your WhatsApp. So you have a professional number. If you are interested in the follow-up email, we can send the example of template, and then you can access Claap MCP through WhatsApp. So it could be super useful. For instance, if you have a meeting, you are running meeting after meeting, and you really want to have a quick vocal way to ask a brief about your next meeting coming in your agenda. That's a way to have a really personal assistant. Another example that we had is a way to, for instance, get a win-loss analysis. So there is plenty of way to do it, and you don't necessarily need MCP. MCP just means that it's easier to kind of roll out, as we said earlier, compared to API and webhook. In this case, what happens, to illustrate the flow, is we create a Claap webhook when the recording is updated event, and we listen to the deal stage. And so we track when a deal comes to a loss or win or won, stage. And when it's the case, we have the recording. And so we use Claap MCP. The AI agent use Claap MCP to identify the deal associated with the recording, and then to ask about the deal status and create a win-loss analysis. So this is something that works pretty well, and you can then post this win-loss analysis at the right location within your CRM, HubSpot on our side, and for instance, notify the team within Slack. So this is really like you could do it without MCP, but the MCP in combination with NA10 and their AI agent node makes it super easy to implement. And then you have, it's pretty easy as well to have all variants of, for instance, for the objection dashboard, we have a scheduled every 7 days that runs, and Claap MCP analyze the recurring objections that we had during the week and gives us a report that we post on Slack. So virtually it can be a lot. I think that we didn't explore that much on our side, but if you have use cases and you want us to give a hand or even like share with the community, we'll be happy to relay it.
Can you show the thing that you did with the objection, Robin, or maybe just the kind of the connection in the NA?
I can show. It's pretty hard to show the real example working, but I can show and comment if you want the workflow NA10. Yeah, I can share it my screen if you want. So we'll just get my. I'm just preparing the different tabs. Give me a second. All right. Tac. So can you confirm if you see my screen?
No.
Still not?
No.
And maybe if you remove yours, Pierre. Maybe we can show the use case from Samuel, and I will restart my browser and join again. I think I have an issue with my config, so I will then come back.
So I think I'm going to invite Samuel. So I'm not sure how to do it actually. Up. So the last use case I wanted to present was more about Claap MCP for documentation and search. So this is something that was actually showed to me this week by Sam that is in the audience right now. And the goal is to basically use the content of the conversation in Claap. So typically his use case was having a world training session happening in Claap with a specific client to automatically create training documents within Notion. So I'm just going to invite Sam, but I'm not sure on how to do it. Yeah. Sam, can you click on the link I put in the comments? Perfect. And we now have Sam.
Hi, team. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfectly. Nice to meet you all. So who I am, maybe to just give you some context, I create an AI agency and I help B2B services company to design AI culture. What is AI culture is how their team is gonna use AI in their day-to-day to develop the company. And to do that, we create a program to define the AI strategy, identify some use case that AI can help all the team in a B2B services company. We develop the use case and we train the team on this use case. So I work only with B2B SaaS, agency, other agency like marketing agency and consulting firm. And for me, one of the biggest use case that we find with the was based on the different discussion that a company could have with their customer or prospect. Based on this information, we can do a lot of things for project manager, consultant, sales, and the Claap MCP was a big accelerator of this use case. And I'm going to show you some example that I've used for my own business to help me to produce faster some content, but also to produce a better value for my customer that the customer pay for it. And it took me like 1 minute to produce it. And it's a lot of value. The first example that I show this week to Pierre is an example where I've been to one of my customer to do a training on two tools that I deploy in the company. The two tools was Notion, like a Notion project management system, and was Dust, which is a tool to create AI agents. But what I discover is that I use Claap since few months, and one of my big personal pain point was to create a documentation after my training to have like a documentation for my customer, because they want it after training to have like a big recap of the training. And with on this example, I can show my screen maybe. Share screen. Can you see my screen actually?
Yes.
We
Yeah,
just on stream.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
So just to explain you, I record the training, and I think about maybe is it possible to create a documentation based on the Claap recording using Claude as the LLM AI tool, and build in Notion, because my customer use Notion. I try it, and the result was like much better than I can imagine. Like the result is like it take me maybe few minutes to read to script the prompt, and then Claude do everything. Find the call, create based on the training. He create the documentation, but it not only just writes the documentation. He write the documentation directly in Notion, and so when I see that, I was like, is it possible that it was a real link, or is it an hallucination of Notion, of Claude? And no, it was a real link with all the training documentation, with not only one page, but he create 5 pages of documentation for the 5 parts, for the 4 parts of the training, and a big 1 page for all the 4 parts. So I have like one big part of like the sales process, the project management process, the AI assistant that I create on Dust, and the like tips that they can use with Dust and Notion. And if you open all this page, there's the exact documentation that I pushed during my training. It was exactly the info that I give to the training with no hallucination, and it's much more better than my own documentation that I create before. It's better, but it also took me few minutes to do it. So the value for my customer is like super high. The time to do it is like super low. So my margin on this project increased because I didn't have to do this documentation. So crazy things to do for me and my customer. And this is replicable for like all the type of training or calling or whatever project management documentation that you have to do based on a call and do on Notion. You can do it directly combining Claap, Claude or competitor, and Notion. So that's a crazy example. If you want, I have another example based on the that I show you, Pierre, based on the flowchart, the mermaid example.
Yeah, maybe you can show it quickly, because I had a discussion this morning with actually like a founder that wanted to do exactly the same.
Okay.
And the use case was the founder was actually like auditing many stuff within the company to improve the processes, and he wanted to basically build a diagram from like all the conversations, and it was, I think, like pretty similar to what you've done. So if you can really quickly show the kind of diagram you created, that would be really useful.
Yeah, that's funny. And I'm gonna show you like a completely no filter example, because this afternoon I have like an audit call with a company, with one of my new customer. It was like just before, it's this one. It was like just before this interview. And when I finished the interview, I decide to create like a flow chart. So what I've done is I said to during this call, I like auditing all the work, the process of the company, like what they exactly do, what are each step of the working process of this team, etc. And what I say, just to show you the prompt, it's like the not nice prompt. Is like, you are an expert in a mermaid building. Mermaid is like the language of flow charts. Can you use the call of Smirov, is the name of my customer, and design the complete flow chart? And what you've done with this super simple prompt, and I can do like a much more better prompt, but it was just for the example today, is like a complete, no, sorry, it's not this one, it's the last one, a complete flow chart with all the processes that that the customer described during the call. And I can use this resource for my final audit, to one for me to design the best strategy, but also for the customer to give him a visibility of this flow chart. And this is like, there's some consulting firm as McKinsey or Boston Consulting Group who paid like €1,000 a day, some consulting people, to do this flow chart manually. And then with Claude, I do it like in a minute, just because I use Claap to record the call. And this is like super crazy complete flow chart with the exactly part of the process where there is some problem, etc.
That's impressive. I'm just sad we don't have the need for such flow charts internally.
I think it's very relevant if you work in an organization with a lot of solution engineers or customer success and so on. I know that we have a lot of customers in that case, so I think it might be really, really relevant for you guys.
Yeah.
And Robin, do you want to share the use case about the NA10 workflow?
Yeah, just a couple of questions. So Gaspar is asking, is the flowchart hosted in Figma or in Claude? I think it's in Claude, right? It's using Claude Artifact. Sam?
Yes, for this question, yes, it's using Claude Artifact. But actually, what we've done is that actually my co-founder, after doing in Claude Artifact, used the code to design visually in another tool called Mermaid Chart, I think. Just replicate the code of Mermaid Chart, do a screenshot, and then he put it on a like Google Doc to give to the customer like a big report that we also write with Claap and AI. And so we do like a complete report of the process with flowchart and also comment and analysis. But we do it integrally with AI, actually.
Yeah. No, that's really great use case. There is a question from Cedric. Would it take into account screen shares that are done during a call or just the transcript? At the moment, it's just the transcript. We don't analyze the screen shares. However, it's a good question because with Claap, you have the recording for sure. So you could manually get some captures of relevant screens and bring them in your Claude, copy pasting them to bring more context. It would be manual. I don't think at the moment that you can just give the whole video file to Claude and so that to make it work. It might be in the future. At the moment, I think it would be like a too big just file.
Okay, and maybe with the timestamp of the video that you get, so you have the link to specific moments at least.
Yeah. I think that we can. I don't try since our discussion, but it was a great idea that we have together, is to do a backlink of the minute of the video directly on the Notion. I don't know why it's gonna work. I think it's work, but I didn't try since our discussion.
Worth trying, Cedric.
But we are happy. if any of you is trying and finding a great use case, we'll be happy like to give a voice to it. Can give you a bit of self-branding, personal branding, but it's also really good because I think that we are all learning as a community. And so if really like Claap can foster this common place to learn together, we will be super happy. Yeah, I can share my screen if you want, Pierre, to present very quickly a couple of elements in NA10. So do you confirm you see my screen?
Yes, normally should be good.
Okay, I was using the new Perplexity Comet browser, but I have problems when I need to share my screen, so I might just come back to Chrome. So this is the boilerplate. We're gonna share this one right after the webinar. Here I will quickly explain how you can configure your Claap MCP. So in this example, you have a chat. When you click on the chat, just something important is you need to put response mode to when last node finishes, because you want the agent to be able to answer back within your chat. And then if you want to put it publicly, you can toggle this, make chat publicly available, and then you have a unique URL. And so in this case, I can go to this URL and it becomes a chat. Not registered. Maybe I change something, but oh yeah, I need to put it to active. But since it's a community, I don't put it to active. But anyway, so you can either play with the chat from here, or you can play with the chat from this URL. You just need like to put it to active. Then you have the AI agent component. So this is the AI agent node from NA10. So here it's taking as an input the chat input. What I simply say to be sure it works, here there is no business logic or smart things. It's just really like the backbone of the implementation. I'm just saying use Claap MCP tool to answer. You need to guide somehow, because otherwise you might try to answer without using Claap MCP. Then you use the chat model. So in our case, we are using OpenAI. You have a simple memory. So the memory, it's connected to the chat trigger. So nothing super complex here. And now when it comes to plugging Claap MCP, what you need to do to plug your Claap MCP, you need to enter, and it's going to be the same in Claude actually. You're going to need to enter the endpoint of the MCP, which is api.claap.io/MCP. In Claude, you are able to connect with the OAuth. When you click on enter or continue, you're going to have like a window and you just authenticate and it's going to be okay. In NA10 and some other tools, it won't be the case. You will need to put to authentication bearer auth and create credentials. And here it's using what I mentioned earlier, the second way to authenticate to the MCP, which is the API key. If you want to find your API key, this is pretty... Sorry, just coming back to Chrome. To get access to the API, so you need to first ask us, and then you can go in your settings, you can go in API and webhooks, and you can register an API. And here, for instance, I can create a Claap API, give it a name. So here, this is this one, and so on and so on. So now that I have my API key, I can come back here, and what you can simply see is give me the list of... Oh no, it's inactive. Anyway, but I will show, the time is flying fast, so I will send it, but I can ask a question and it will send me an answer exactly as you have in Claude. The second element that I wanted to show is if you want it to if you want to implement it in a more I would say business real use case, this is something that I mentioned earlier, where every 7 days, so it's a scheduled trigger, every 7 days at midnight it's gonna run. And then here you have a more advanced prompt. So if I show the structure of the prompt, you are a senior B2B SaaS sales analyst. Your job is to mine sales meetings from the last 7 days, surface the most common buyer objections, slowing pipeline velocity and revenue, time frame and scope, the last 7 calendar days related to now, meeting in scope, meeting in sales channel, So even it's a mistake here, it says meeting. In Claap Workspace, use Claap MCP tools, formatting and deliverables, blah, blah, blah. It could give way more elements if I wanted to ask for more. Quality guardrails, not to invent anything, and so on, and the tone. So as you can see, this is exactly as before, just the input is different, it's a schedule. I'm using Google Gemini because I think I prefer it compared to ChatGPT. And we have the AI agent. Claap MCP, nothing specific as we mentioned. You have the tools, and just to illustrate the tools that you have, what we showed earlier, the tools in Claude, here in the tools, you can select all, and the LLM will decide directly, or you can select the selected, and here it gives you the list, and you can select one precisely if you really want to be precise. But MCP was designed to really give a lot of choice and power to the LLM, so better to select all. And then what we do is we simply post it in the sales channel. Here it's without structure. We simply paste the output as a text. If you wanted to structure something like more structured and visual, you could use Slack.clit from Slack, but then you would need to structure your answer with a JSON structure and not a plain text. I don't see the screen, so let me know if you have any question on these two. If I wanted to use Claap AI, the Claap Webbook, for the win-loss analysis, it would be pretty much the same thing. I would use the Webbook node here. I would enter my Claap Webbook URL. I would take this URL and I would fill in the Webbook. Create webbook. You see, we already created some, so I can create a webbook. I the webbook name NA10, for instance, win-loss analysis demo. I can select the event updated. I can enter the callback. I can create my webbook. Now, whenever something happens, it will ping this one and start this workflow. And then I would need to have a filter. My filter being, I can say deal. So of course, I need to have the right nomenclature, but just to explain, deal stage equal to lost, for instance. And then when it's lost, I send it to Claap AI. I change the prompts to ensure we are talking about a win-loss analysis, and I can send it to Slack, and I can also connect HubSpot if I want to enrich HubSpot specific field. Is it okay for this use case?
Yes, I think so. And maybe to summarize, the biggest benefit of NA10 is really about having either like a scheduled and trigger workflow. So that's the main difference between like being directly in Claude and you need to interact with the MCP, while in NA10, this is really the place where you can design autonomous agents.
Yeah, you can say, so it can be when there is a schedule, so specific date and time, can be when there is a webbook, so it could be, as we said, when the deal stage is updated, but it could be whatever you want. We illustrated in a previous webinar a use case relying on Claap Webbook, where when you change a label, it creates automatically the presentation, a Google slide proposal after the sales demo. So if you are interested in this use case, we can also share the NA10 template. But
yeah,
this is really about automation and triggers. The last, sorry.
No, sorry. And by the way, about the webbook and trigger, I know that some people that are very curious to know how to facilitate the handover between sales and customer success. So typically, if you want to automatically create a handover document from Claap to Notion or a different place, this is typically the thing that we'll use, a mix of webbook plus the Claap MCP. Oh yeah, and that's a WhatsApp trigger.
And the WhatsApp one. So WhatsApp one is so here is super simple, just to illustrate. Same here. We're gonna share it if you're interested. So how it works? You have a WhatsApp trigger. So worth noting that it's relying on WhatsApp Business. So if you want to use it, you will need to create a WhatsApp Business account. it's free, but there are some steps. I will include in the workflow a YouTube video that explains the whole process. And when you have your WhatsApp business account, so what it does here, it's triggers on new messages. And then same as before, there is the AI agent, there is the model LLM that we're going to use, there is the memory, there is the Claap MCP, and the output of all this goes to sending a message. So here you have the WhatsApp account, you have the resource, it's going to send a message. The sender will be my, and good that it fails here because I didn't want to show my test account, but it's using the test number, which is an American number provided by WhatsApp. You will have all the steps in the video if you want to create it. And it's sending the answer of the LLM to my number. And then from my number, I can chat. And it's just another way beyond the N8N, beyond the Claude, and so on. It's a way to access Claap MCP right on your phone. It works if you write. If you wanted to be able to talk and to deal with voice memos, you would just have to add some elements here to like with two conditions. If it's a text, it's this simple workflow. If it's a voice, you need to download the file, transcribe, and so on. It's not complex, but it's a second branch that you need to include. And then you have your really own personal assistant on your phone. The last part, if you want to enrich it, that's the power of all this. You are able to add more tools. And so when you connect more tools, you can connect, for instance, Notion tools. This is what Samuel did with Notion, with Claude, and with Notion. And so, for instance, I could say replicate his workflow, but controlling it from my phone. And you could also have Google Mail, Google Calendar, and all your tools, so that you can access all this from your own personal assistant, answering to voice, vocal instructions from WhatsApp. So this was about 3 small use cases you can do with the MCP. And yeah, I think it's already like a pretty good tour.
Yeah, maybe just to recap, because we had a lot of questions.
Sorry, Pierre, I realized I would just show one last thing, maybe that can be helpful.
Okay.
It's not involving Claap, but I will just show, for instance, you might have received a product update from me yesterday. And I will just show how it was done fully automatically using Claude.
Are you saying you're not sending a personal email to each user?
And it's just a way to show what we didn't see with some use case about the project. So here is, can you confirm when you see my screen?
Yes, let me up. Yeah.
So here is, for instance, you see there are some projects I use a lot involving MCPs on a daily basis. And here it's a product update writer. So if you didn't read or what's new email from yesterday, please read it. And you'll see that it has been fully automated 1 day ago, Claap video trash recovery feature. So basically, I want to show you the instruction. Instead of typing all the time my prompt, and it could be the case, for instance, if you also wanted the dashboard that we showed earlier, you don't want to start again a new prompt and new discussion all the time. What you can do is to create a project and insert instructions. And if I show you the instructions, you're a senior product marketing manager. Your mission is to write product updates for Claap to announce new features that have been released. For each product update, you will use linear tools. I precisely target, so linear because we use linear as a product management tool. And I really target precisely what I want. So get the tier 2 issues with stage use release note, get the title and description, then use Notion, go in product backlog, get the titles, and so on and so on. I won't go through, but I give all the instructions. I give the collaterals that I want, an email, a Slack post, and a product tooltip. And all this is automated. And so then what I need to do when I launch a new release is just I trigger it with write a product update. In this case, I also wanted to add something that was missing, and so I added it here. And then you see that it works following all my instructions, and it creates all the content. So it was really like a last note, not specifically involving Claap MCP, but to show you how you can somehow not automate, but mutualize your prompt for really recurring projects when you're in Claude using projects.
Cool. Yeah, I think it's very, very useful. I know we are like a bit over time, so thanks a lot everyone for being here. I just wanted to recap because we had a lot of questions about the platform we support as of today related to MCP. So in general, like you can check because we might not have mentioned all the platform. I can think about, for example, Microsoft Copilot Studio, but as long as they support generic MCP, it's going to be pretty much the same way to connect with your MCP account. The one that we support and we have a lot of customers using it as of today. So there is like Claude, N8N, Zapier, Dust. I know that some of you in the room are also using Dust. So it works very well with Dust. For OpenAI, as mentioned by Robin at the beginning, we don't support it yet. It's not very complex, but they're like basically missing some things to make the MCP really relevant. I also had question in the past about Gemini. Gemini doesn't support MCP server at the moment, but this is something that they're like planning to do. They made some announcement a few months ago, so we expect it to be fully supported. And I think we had one question about Perplexity. To be honest, I don't know.
Yeah, I will explore right after the webinar.
To be checked if it's the case. And if it's the case, it means that they probably support a generic MCP. So I think we are at the end of this webinar. So thanks a lot, everyone. Thanks a lot, Sam, for coming here to present your use cases. Honestly, it was really, really cool. Same message for like everyone in the audience. If you have like really cool use cases or even stuff that don't work, we really want to know about it because as I said, we are really building this and we are like learning about how to use MCP. So really, we want to know about the cool use cases you want to build.
Thank you, team. Bye.
Thanks a lot, everyone. Bye.